We are back, and we have our first guest today.
I'm so excited about this guest.
Oh, everybody is, including my son, who's a 13-year-old guitar player.
Uh,
So, so
where did he get the gift of music from?
it wasn't from my side of the
I didn't
family. I
think
can
so.
tell you that. I can tell you that. So, anyway, welcome Greg Deering from Deering Banjo Company.
Hello,
Great.
glad to be here.
Great. Well, Deering Banjo Company is a you're a very well established company, if I'm not mistaken.
Well, we're going into our 39th year, and we sell banjos all over the world. We're much more. We have the majority of the market. Um,
Okay. Well,
Congratulations, that's
yes,
exciting.
congratulations. I want to read the list of people that we have here that use your banjos.
okay,
Okay, play your banjos. If I'm a little off in the way I talk, I'm not the music person, so please correct me. But we have notables as the Mumford and Sons, the Avett Brothers, Taylor Swift,
Mm.
Dropkick Murphys, and of course Steve Martin, Keith Urban, Kruger Brothers. It goes on and on and on. I could probably take up the whole segment with that. So tell us how you got started.
well, I got started playing the music in the school music program when I was in grade school. Played the violin from fourth grade all the way through high school. And in junior high school, discovered the Kingston Trio and decided I needed to play a banjo.
Wow.
My best friend was the French horn player, and he could play the guitar. So the next thing I knew, I was playing the banjo, and haven't looked back.
So how did you get into banjo manufacturing?
Well, my dad taught me to be a good craftsman from a very young age. He was a aircraft engineer and an incredibly good craftsman, and we built model airplanes together.
Wow.
And got into college, wanted a better banjo, couldn't afford it, so I took a woodshop class and built a banjo, and started building another one, and people started buying them from me.
Wow.
But I was also that class at San Diego State had two other guys in it that we became a nucleus of people that opened a shop in Lemon Grove called the American Dream.
Uh-huh.
That became the nucleus of us all being successful in the music manufacturing business.
Now, was that a reference to the dream being about music? Was it the dream of being a business owner? Both?
All of that.
Yeah.
And the people, the guy that actually owned the shop, Sam Radding, had his dream, but I had my dream, and Lee Fulmer, one of the original partners, had his dream, and he went on to get like 6 more college degrees, and he heads up an R&D department at one of the Golden Triangle companies. Um, but that American dream eventually turned into Taylor Guitars, Deering Banjo Company, Stelling Banjos, Goodall Guitars, and Breedlove Guitars,
Wow.
which is
Wow.
very dominant in the entire industry.
Did you start from the house first on your first banjos, or did you go right into a storefront or manufacturing facility?
Um, the first banjo I built kind of at home and at the workshop at San Diego State. And the second banjo was part of that little shop in Lemon Grove.
Hmm.
It was about a 1,500 square foot spot on Lester Avenue in Lemon Grove. And a lot of instruments came out of that little spot.
Yeah.
Now, did you start out with making? I mean, your banjos are used by these top performers because they're great musical instruments. Were they always? I mean, were you always a genius from the beginning with it, or have they just really gotten better over time? I mean, obviously, you continue to improve.
Well,
But
they've gotten better over time, especially getting to work with people like Jens Kruger. But I did have a knack at the very beginning. My first banjo was okay. My second banjo was much better. And by the third one, they were quite remarkable. And I'm not saying that to toot my horn, but they just felt good. They
or to toot
played
your own banjo.
to my own banjo. And customers started noticing that. And so we started making more and more banjos.
So how does it go from being the Rain Man of banjos to get into 600 stores around the world? I mean, you have to have a team around you that helps make that happen as well, right?
Well, the initial team that started the whole thing was my wife Janet and I. When we got married, we left the American Dream, and when we came back, because Janet had a job in Washington D.C. for a little while, we came back, and Bob Taylor and his friend Kurt Lustig had bought the American Dream and started Taylor Guitars, So basically, we started Deering Banjo Company about that time. And Janet and I at first were the entire operation, so we were mainly production. But as we started to grow, Janet is the CEO of the company and has taken care of the entire administrative half of being in business.
Wow.
I've always felt having a woman in charge is the best way to go.
Yeah. If I had been doing all that by myself, we would not be where we are today. And that is absolutely no question about that.
Yeah. You're listening to Close Up on San Diego Business here on KFSD AM 1450 and financialnewsandtalk.com. I'm your host, Barry Waxler, with my co-hosts, Andrea Kay, Urban Miars, and our esteemed guest, Greg Deering. So, Greg, tell me, from what I understand, banjos were relegated to one segment of the music industry for a long time, and that market has changed, hasn't it?
It has, and to just put a little historical perspective on it, the modern banjo was first invented by Joel Sweeney in 1840. And from 1840 till about 1930, the banjo was the main stringed instrument in the United States. Guitars were the little guy. What knocked the banjo out of that spot was Les Paul and the electric guitar.
Ah.
But now the banjos are back. We have good pickups. The banjo can work alongside of an electric guitar again. So our niche markets used to be bluegrass and folk and Dixieland, a little bit of country, but now we're being played by ska and Korean fusion and rock and roll and R&B and everything.
That must do wonders for your business.
It's a pull from our customers that in all the years in business we haven't had. And this pull has just started in the last 2 years.
Now, coming up in February, you're reaching a big milestone. What is that?
In February, we will build our 100,000th banjo.
Wow.
And that's going to be the most banjos that any company's ever built.
Wow. You're going to have a big event to commemorate that, or how are you going to celebrate that?
Well, Janet and her crew are still working on that.
Oh, yeah?
She's got public relations and marketing and everything all comes under her umbrella.
Oh.
How large is
should
your
do
facility now? How large is it? And
We've got about 20,000 square feet and,
Wow.
and 48 a staff of 48 people.
good.
But you're going to be expanding that as well with some increased R&D coming up, right? What do
Yeah.
you want to tell us about that?
Well, our research and development has always been just crammed in around production, and it's all been myself doing all of the work, but we're finally going to hire some help and move all of that into a different suite in our building so that we've got more elbow room and so that we're not constantly in the way of production.
Mm-hmm.
So it'll be a new era, and we're excited about it because when Taylor Guitars was about our size was when they hired their first engineer to help Bob do it, and they just exploded after that. So we're hoping that this will be a good move for us.
That sounds great. Andrea, I think that we will have our first on-location show out in Spring Valley.
Yeah, wouldn't that be fun?
For the 100,000th guitar. Although I guess we better talk to Greg about that first.
No, Janet, I think she's...
Janet, that's right.
Well, we can arrange that. We can accommodate that.
So it started out with a dream, but it's like you're still got more dreams that you're hoping to fulfill, which I find amazing and wonderful and incredible.
Yeah, I've still got numerous more products that I need to be getting onto the market, and it's an interesting phenomenon to still be working on new products when we're barely able to keep up with the demand for the ones we already have.
Yeah.
But we just don't sit on our laurel. We base our company on how nothing ever stays the same. In real life, you're either getting better or you're getting worse. And if you don't make sure you're getting better, by default, you get worse. So our whole business philosophy is to do better today than we did yesterday. We didn't set out to build 100,000 banjos. We set out to do better today than we did yesterday.
Well, before we run out of time, I have one question for you. And you're saying you're working on some new products. Anything you can share with us?
Well, one of them is banjo ukulele. and that's because our customers are demanding it. And we're hoping to have that shortly after sometime early this coming year, have that ready for the market.
How many strings will that have?
4 strings. 4 strings.
Well, okay. Well, Greg, tell our listeners how they can get in touch with you if they have any questions about for Deering Banjo Company.
Well, our website is real easy. It's deeringbanjos.com, and you can get to us through that. Our phone number is 619-464-8252, and we're just out in Casa de Oro, right off of Highway 94 in Kenwood, and we give tours every day, and everybody's
Really?
welcome to come by and see our facility.
Okay. Well, that's sounds like an invitation to me. So
Yeah, to me too.
great. Well, Greg, appreciate you being with us. Stick around for a
Thank
little
you.
bit.
You're welcome.
You're listening to Close Up on San Diego Business, where we get up close and personal with homegrown San Diego businesses and the people that are working to make a difference in our community. This is financialnewsandtalk.com. I'm your host, Barry Waxler, and we'll be right back after the break with our next guest, David Malmuth from, hopefully I've said that right, David Malmuth from the Idea District, an exciting new area in San Diego here. So we'll be back soon.